J, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Drains.
Coming right up, another fun Varsity Sports Show.
In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
Hi, kids. This is DJ Soulman from the Funk Junkies, and you're listening to the Varsity Sports Show with my man Vince Delicio. And what's your last name?
It's Delicio.
Okay, that's right. That's what I thought. Yeah, right.
Thank you for listening to the Varsity Sports Show, where our mission is to empower education and enable dreams, creating an unmatched platform to showcase talent both in front of and behind the microphone in radio, television, podcast, and live streaming. The Varsity Sports Show, still your home for youth, high school, college, and you in Arizona and beyond.
KDUS AM 1060 Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix is brought to you by AC by J, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Drains.
This program is paid for by the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization, and its partners.
You're listening to the Varsity Sports Show, home of Arizona's youth, high school, college sports, and you, empowering education and enabling dreams, right here on KDUS AM 1060 in Arizona. And now, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Varsity Sports Show here on AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. No, this is not a Phoenix Suns game that we're broadcasting, but we've got an intro. We have a very special guest. We got a lot of things we're going to talk about today. First of all, my name is Vince Delicio. Thank you for joining us. It's kind of an interesting week because we're just coming off of our summer programming with our amazing summer broadcast team, and they did a great job. We're going to be transitioning next week to our fall broadcast programming, and in between, I didn't want to just take the week off and do nothing and sit at home with my feet on the couch eating bonbons, although that it would have been justified and it would have been a great week to do that. But we're off and running and back to work, and it was a very reflective week for me because some things happened out there that made me really think about what we're doing and why we're doing it. First of all, without further ado, let me introduce today's special guest who's joining us for the whole show. His name is Dr. Mike Steingart. Now, why is Dr. Mike Steingart here? Well, the significance of it is he is a part of Valley history, of NBA history, of Arizona history. His dad was Dr. Paul Steingart, and Dr. Paul Steingart was the first team physician for the Phoenix Suns and probably the longest-serving team physician of the Phoenix Suns. But more important than that, he was a staple in this community. He was very involved in the early pioneering days of sports medicine. So a lot of you guys out there, a lot of you coaches, guys and girls and coaches that have trainers on your staff, you can thank Dr. Steingart for that because he did a lot of outreach and made it a thing before it was a thing. Orthopedic surgeon, and his son, Dr. Mike, followed in his dad's footsteps. So, Dr. Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
And so we had a lot of things to talk about today, and you brought a bunch of pictures and a bunch of memories, and we were just going on and on. I've been in the Valley. My family's been here since 1972. I was 6 months old when my parents moved out here. That'll tell you how old I am now. But you grew up here as well. And we went to rival high schools, and we knew of a lot of the same people. And so it's so cool to have that sense of community. And there's a couple other things I want to talk about today that you're very much aware of going on in the Valley. But first of all, what was it like being around the Phoenix Suns back then?
Spectacular.
I say, one word pretty much sums it up. You were a ball boy for the team for a time, too.
Right. I was not the first ball boy. My brother and I would sweep the floors. Basically had a job out of necessity when nobody knew about basketball in Phoenix, Arizona. We'd go with my father to the game a couple hours early.
Yeah.
We'd meet the players. Then we'd get a couple basketballs and start shooting them on the court at
And
the Coliseum.
did you get yelled at like, hey, kid, get off the court?
No, nobody was there except
okay.
some of the players.
Yeah.
And then we'd be shooting with them. And then we just sort of, Jerry Colangelo was kind enough to say, hey, how about sweeping the floors? And it was a real honor to work with Jerry.
Did he pay you?
Actually, he did. At the end of the year, he would give my brother and I $25 each.
Wow, big money.
Totally unexpected.
Okay.
And with a letter of thanking, a handwritten letter thanking.
That probably meant more than anything, especially now.
Right. Jerry Colangelo was really a special guy, and his whole family in our lives.
Do you think we can ever get him on the show?
I don't know him that well anymore.
All right, that's an easy out. I would see him. I go to the Starbucks. I'm not going to say exactly where, but I go to Starbucks and I see him every Monday morning. I would put my butt down in a chair outside of the Starbucks, and here he'd come on in his Range Rover cruising around into the drive-thru, and I'd yell, "Hey, Jerry!" and he'd speed up. So, I'd love to get him on the show, but I mean, his time is valuable. He's out there and he's a busy guy, so. I can just imagine. So anyway, that's one thing that's going on in today's show. A big thing is we've got Dr. Mike here, Dr. Mike Steingart, and he's going to talk a little bit about Phoenix Suns history, Valley history. He's an active orthopedic surgeon now. He works with a lot of families. He's out there in the sports medicine world, so he is very well in tune to what's going on. Couple other things. Now, you guys know, obviously, with this show, I try to keep it on the up and up as much as possible. I don't need to bash people to get ratings, but I'm going to be totally frank today. And I am an honest guy, and I am as transparent as they come. This week, some things happened out there that really kind of ticked me off. And one thing in particular, two things. Let's talk about high school recruiting. Recruiting that, and when I say high school recruiting, I don't mean, college coaches that are out there that are ethical, that are doing it the right way. But there's an air out there of dishonesty and some things going on that really have come to a head. And it's been around for a long time, and it's things that we kind of, just figure it's part of the game. But this week there was a coach that got suspended and that got caught. And here's my theory on recruiting. If you're a coach and you have to recruit kids to come and play for you, get out of coaching, because coaching is about developing, about mentoring. And I was a coach. I spent half my adult life coaching. I coached youth sports, high school sports, college sports. I was a head coach for a brief time until a sadistic administrator didn't want me to do it anymore because they had other motives. And I'm not going to get into detail on that now. But get out of it. Please do us all a favor. If you're trying to pad your resume, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And it happened to me when I coached, in that coaches would come and recruit kids that I coached, and they got caught, and they were dealt with, and they were dealt a severe hand. And so it's part of the process. Now, should it happen? No. If you have to do that to win games, then you're not doing it for the right reasons, and try to go coach college and go lose there and end up, selling shoes. So that's one thing that really, boggles my mind. If you guys want to call in 602-260-1060. If you want to dispute anything I'm saying and you're courageous and you're willing to give your name on the air, then have at it and provide your reasoning, okay? Second thing, and the real coaches, to me, the coaches that are deserving of Coach of the Year awards are guys like, I'm going to throw some names out there because I know these guys and I know what they do and how they do it. Carl Hayden, Stephen Arenas. That guy is doing it with neighborhood kids that are committed. It's a small group of kids. Carl Hayden High School. Dr. Mike, you know Carl Hayden High School. You were a Central High School graduate in the mid-'70s, and Carl Hayden was a big basketball school. Well, they're getting football players out there now, and Coach Arenas is a teacher on campus, and he's doing it the right way. You got Charles Rivera out at Alhambra. Okay, so another Phoenix Union school. Let's go to the East Valley. You got Vance Miller out at Mesquite. Great guy. Let's go to Tempe, and let's talk about Jake Barrow. Jake Barrow, another guy. Ends up, he was down at Casa Grande 7-8 years, builds the program from nothing with kids in the community, wins a state championship, ends up at Corona. Little incident this week that, regarding a kid that had to get some conditioning because he hadn't really done any workouts all summer. I don't know the details 100%. I'm just giving you what I interpreted by talking to a couple of people close to the program. And parents, God bless them. I'm one. Parents go to district headquarters, file a complaint, and Coach Barrow gets put on paid administrative leave. Should that have happened? In my opinion, no. You go to the school. If you have an issue, go to the school, or keep your mouth shut and take your kid and send him to another school if you have an issue with the coach that's trying to do the right thing. And the one single factor, in my opinion, that's driving good coaches out of the profession and good officials out of the profession, parents. I'm sorry. I'm one of them, but that's what's happening. And I've been around programs where the parents are wonderful. They are supportive. I've been around programs where you've heard the term, Dr. Mike, helicopter parent, and then you've got parents that are non-existent. I wish there was a middle ground. I wish there was a point where we could provide the kids the resources they need to succeed and then take a step back and let the coaches and teachers do their jobs and not say a word. And I tell my kids all the time, I tell them, look, I'll support you. But if you have an issue with a coach, you talk to that coach. And whether it's because you're not playing, you want to play more, or you're playing too much, I don't know what it is, or you have an issue with the teacher, it's on you. That's your job. My job is to be there to support you, to catch you when you fall, and to help you along and to provide resources. And I'm not Parent of the Year material by any stretch. That's my wife. That's not me. But you got to support the kids. And then step back and stay out of the way. I'm going to run an interview with Coach Jake Barrow. By the way, his family makes great pizza. I'll say that, Coach Barrow. Let's run that interview, Aaron, with Coach Barrow from last week's media day out at Valley Luna Restaurant.
All right, guys, joined by head football coach Corona del Sol, the Aztecs, Coach Jake Barrow. Coach Barrow, how does it feel to be the newbie here? We're out at Media Day. You're surrounded by a couple of coaches that are literally their third, fourth-year coaches. They're the dean of coaches in this conference, in the Tempe schools. How does that feel?
Well, you're just kind of still figuring things out. It's been 8 years since I've been new to a program. So it's, something I kind of forgot. Oh, yeah, there's a learning curve here.
Yeah.
So just figuring things out, figuring out my own program as well as the lay of the land in 6A.
As you look around here and you see all this talent, you see all these people, because every school is represented and they brought the best of the best here, how do you feel you measure up with what you're looking at here?
Well, these are all really good programs here. That's why we're here, and that's why people are here to talk to them. But I think we measure up really well. Our kids have been working really, really hard. They've really bought into some of the new changes we've made, the culture, the scheme. So I'm excited. I know my entire staff's excited. I think we stack up really, really well.
Now, I know obviously, your school, you played a different level than a few of these other schools here, so you guys won't be playing. I don't know that you're playing any of these guys this season, are you? You're the biggest school here represented.
We will play Desert Vista and Mountain Point.
Okay, so you'll play both of those schools. So as you look at where they're at and their coaches, you feel pretty confident with, and again, it's, we're all here together to promote each other and to promote the district, but also you're competing with these guys. So, the feeling with what you're putting together versus what they already have, you're feeling pretty strong, pretty solid with your roster and the foundation.
Yeah, I do. A lot of these guys, like you said, have been building for a while and they've built strong programs. But I feel good about where we are. It's year one. It's going to be a lot of transition. There's going to be a lot of, just kind of learning. There's a learning curve with everything. But I feel good about where we are. I really do.
Take Jake Barrow out of the picture, and as just watching everything that's going on, are you a fan of some of these other programs here, or some of these coaches, I should say, and what you followed in the past? What do you know about some of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of new coaches here, but, like Coach Lauer over at Mountain Point's done a terrific job.
Yeah.
Just kind of bringing back that program, to what it was. And you've got a lot of really good, Coach Figueroa at Marcos Deniza. I mean, I've always been a fan of the Tempe area program just my entire life. And so seeing what he's done at Marcos, bringing back the rich Marcos tradition, I'm a huge fan of a lot of these things these guys have done.
Let's talk a little bit more about your program. And one thing that you're doing that's different that a lot of schools still haven't jumped on board with is that you have a recruiting coordinator in your program and a mutual friend, a guy that helped me host the show this morning that is pretty outspoken about Corona del Sol football, and Lou Perone. And what exactly does he bring to the table that you found that you can really build in your program?
Yeah, I mean, Lou's great for our kids because, he's the one-stop shop for answers when it comes to recruiting. Kids want to know, how do I market myself better? What level should I really project myself to play at? How do I go about communicating with a coach? How do I go about scheduling an unofficial visit? All this stuff that kids need to know today. He's great at giving them answers and helping them set those things up. And he meets with our kids often. He sets up, online programs for them. And I mean, having him is just an invaluable resource. He was with me down in Casa Grande and is now with us at Corona.
Coach, I got to tell you kind of set yourself up. I mean, you stepped in it a little bit by winning a state championship before, because now the expectation is just that at Corona. How does that pressure feel?
Well, it's everyone's goal. So obviously it's pressure, but it's welcome pressure because everybody wants to win one. If you say you don't, then you're lying. That's the ultimate goal. And so, having done that, it's a high as a coach, that you can't explain to see your kids finally achieve that goal, because everybody goes into the season with that same goal. So at Corona, we've got the same goal nonetheless, and we'll see how we do.
All right. Coach Jake Barrow, Corona del Sol, the Aztecs coach, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see
as
you
always.
throughout the season. Yes, sir.
Interact with Bob Kemp's poll question on KDUS1060.com. That's KDUS1060.com. And while you're there, check out Bob Kemp's bottom line at KDUS1060.com.
Hi, this is Darren Chapman with Tiger Mountain Foundation. You need to keep listening to my old St. Mark's mate, Vinny D'Alicio, man, on the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS, Arizona. It's the home of you, high school, college, and you. I mean, us. Thank you. Varsity Sports, baby. You can't beat it.
Hey guys, Vince here to talk to you about a good friend of mine named Bob Jenkins. Bob is a Marine Corps veteran. Bob and his younger brother DJ own Vets Built Contracting. You've seen their trucks around Metro Phoenix, I'm sure. For 5 years, they've been hiring and putting veterans to work. Vets Built is licensed, bonded, and insured, both residential and commercial, specializing in renovations, remodeling, new build, casitas, safe rooms, or small commercial TI work. If you're a skilled veteran looking for work, a homeowner in need of work, or a commercial business needing TI work, please call Bob or DJ at Vets Built at 480-584-3675.
Founder-level sponsors, the Kristen Graziano Group with HomeSmart Elite, are proud to be Saguaro alumni, community advocates, and your hometown realtors. The Kristen Graziano Group is ranked in the top 1.5% of real estate teams nationally, and your top-selling team right here in SaberCat territory. The Kristen Graziano Group can currently be seen on the Emmy-nominated TV show Selling the Valley of the Sun. When you're ready to buy, sell, or want to know the value of your home, reach out to the group that knows the neighborhood, the Kristen Graziano Group.
Every Monday night, check out Ray Adams as he hosts the Monday Night Golf and Lifestyle Show from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
All right, guys, Vince D'Alicio here with the Varsity Sports Show, joined by Marcos Deniza, slot wide receiver, Jamal Young, going into his senior year. Jamal, we're out here at Media Day here on a Saturday afternoon. I want to talk to you. Obviously, you're here as one of the leaders, marquee players on your team. What's the offseason been like for you?
It's been just a lot of hard work. Like, we're really trying to change the culture, especially from last year, it ain't went how we planned, like especially with like our weight room, how we operated on the film, and just our like we want to be a player-led team. And last year we did not have no captain, so like this offseason we just been pushing a lot of like players, like we got to lead the team, we got to change the culture, and like the coaches have been doing a great job of like leading us and showing us how to do it, and we've been just responding to it.
So by it being a player-led team now, do you feel like there's a lot more responsibility riding on your shoulders, the shoulders of your fellow seniors, to make sure and start off the season with a bang?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how we feel. Like we want to like ride for each other. Like it's our last year, and we want to like it's like now we have a culture shift. Like we feel like everything rides on us. Like if we lose, it's gonna be on us. It's not the coach's fault. Like everything's gonna ride on us.
It's easy to say, look, we need to get more wins. What exactly is it going to take to get you there?
Just executing and then listening and then having each other's back, and just like every practice we play 100%, never take a rep off, just everything, you know what I'm saying?
All right, Jamal Young, slot wide receiver, Marcos Denisa of the Padres. Keep your eyes out for old number 12. All right, joined by Marcos Denisa linebacker, senior Mason Stromstad. Mason, okay, question for you. Now, you guys went up to Camp Tonazona for your preseason camp. What was the vibe up in camp? You went up on a specific mission, not to just to get out of the heat, but
Yes,
what was the idea going up there?
The idea for us as a team was to create a stronger bond. A lot of the guys that are on the team now, we've all been together freshman year. Me, I was always above. I was always on varsity, so those guys below me, like we're in the same grade, but they was always on JV. So now, as a team, we're all together now. So hopefully, create a strong bond, and yeah.
Sure, 100%. So there's so much emphasis placed on offense in programs. You got to score points.
Yeah.
But you're a linebacker. How much pride do you take in leading your defense, and what are some goals that you guys have this year as a defensive unit?
Oh, definitely a ton. I mean, I love trying to be a leader for the defense. Definitely taking a strong role for that this year. This year we really want to just get lots of takeovers. In my opinion, my goal is get lots of takeovers as a defense this year. If you get lots of takeovers, give it to the offense, let them do their thing, then you'll be in a really good spot.
Coach going to blitz you a lot this year?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. All right. Mason Stromstad, good luck to you. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
All
too.
right, man. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Joined by Marcos Denisa Padres head football coach Anthony Figueroa. Coach, thank you for joining us here on the Varsity Sports Show. I wanted to start off, and I've given you kind of a hard time off camera here because we have 4 new head coaches in the Tempe district. You're like the dean of this group going into your 3rd year here. What's the culture shift been like at Marcos for you?
It's been impressive to say the least. We pride ourselves that culture outweighs talent, and for us it's about setting not only ourselves up for success for this upcoming season, but for seasons to come.
I had a chance to visit with 2 of your fine young men over there and a little earlier, and definitely the best of the best, in terms of talking in so their foundations and what they're grounded on. You got a lot more like them?
Absolutely. We definitely focus on character because it does matter, and in having these guys understand that perception becomes reality. And for us, it's setting the standard for our program, so that way outside of the white lines, we're seen as a value-added piece to the community. I want my boys to, I sent out the first day of school an email to all the teachers. I'm fortunate enough to know, based off of the work ethic and the commitment, who my varsity team was going into the summer. And we've added a couple guys via transfer and stuff like that. But, I sent out a list of all of our players and said, these guys are expected to sit in the front. Please let me know if you have any questions. And I've had nothing but super supportive feedback from the teachers, letting me know that the players are up in the front. They're setting the standard. And for us, it's huge because it's not just about football. To quote Dabo Sweeney, we can win, but if we're not creating young men of character, we're losing. So it's definitely balancing the two of those and definitely pursuing excellence.
Welcome back. So a little look at Marcos Denisa football and from last week's Media Day. We're going to feature all the Tempe schools throughout the show today, in addition to our in-studio guest, Dr. Mike Steingart, whose dad was the famous Phoenix Suns team doctor for years and years and years. And Dr. Mike grew up here in the Valley. He graduated, like I said, from Central High School. So he knows Valley history, particularly with the sports landscape. And Dr. Mike, when we were talking about, my family had been here since 72, but we were talking about some of the greatest teams in Suns history. You said that the 1970 team was pretty good.
Connie Hawkins had just came from the ABA over to Phoenix, and the Phoenix Suns had traded Gary Greger, their number one draft choice, back when they opened the team, I think it was 68, to Atlanta, and they got Paul Silas. And Paul Silas, class guy, he later, as you know, was traded to Boston.
Yeah.
The Celtics got a bargain on that. They took a couple championships with him.
Wow.
As they did with Dennis Johnson, but that's a different story. So the team, when I think the first year, what were they like, 6 and 64 or something like that?
Yeah.
Horrible. When Connie Hawkins came, they flipped it and they took the Lakers. They lost a coin flip for Lou Alcindor Jabbar.
Yeah.
Devastating. I think we picked heads; they picked tails.
Was that a double-sided coin, or what? I mean, did you get a chance to look at that coin?
No.
Okay, all right.
I wasn't involved.
Okay,
I was just a ball boy, and so the team then went, and this is where it got interesting. They won the championship, the Western Division, and they were playing the Lakers. They were in a horrendous division with the Chicago Bulls, Detroit Pistons. Tough division that year.
Yeah.
And they had the Lakers up 3-1. Then Jimmy Fox goes out with an ankle sprain in Los Angeles, which could have been treated had the team doctors at that time went to the visiting teams.
Wow.
They would depend on the other team doctor. Well, the other team doctor was more a Lakers fan than he was, in my opinion, a doctor. And he said to Jimmy Fox, just go ahead and play. Well, Jimmy Fox came back to Phoenix. They're up 3-1. He can't play without the series. And Jimmy Fox, I still say, is one of the greatest centers the Suns have ever had.
Yeah.
And I think if you can ever get him on your show, he's still around. He goes down to the Nash. He was a great jazz guy. But if you ever can get him on the show, he's very unassuming.
Okay.
But he was that good, and he was able to play Chamberlain and drive Chamberlain nuts because he kept on making these outside jumpers. Chamberlain's Chamberlain. Nobody's going to fiddle with him.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fox goes down. Neil Walker, number one center that came in because we didn't get Jabbar. He comes in. He was not bad. He'd make it today in this league.
Neil Walk.
Neil Walk was
Okay.
a good player. But back then, when you're dealing with guys like Walter Bellamy, you got Wes Unseld, you got Chamberlain, Russell, who just retired, Nate Thurmond, another San Francisco Warriors guy. That's who he was playing against. And so Neil would take charges like crazy, but he could not handle Chamberlain. And that's eventually Chamberlain just took over the game with Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, of course, and beat us 4-3, and we lost that.
Wow. So Jimmy Fox, and that's a name I hadn't heard in years and years and years, but one of the greatest Sun centers of all time.
When I was on the court, I still say he was an unsung hero. And back then, keep in mind, the centers were so great that today's world, Jimmy Fox was a Bill Laimbeer center, but he wasn't dirty. He was a clean, and he could shoot, but he could rebound and he could pass. But he was extremely good in all aspects of his playing.
Awesome. In studio today, joined by Dr. Mike Steingart, who was an early ball boy of the Phoenix Suns, but more importantly, his dad was the team physician, Paul Steingart, for years and years, and one of the early pioneers of sports medicine here in Arizona, a model to live by, and he was something else, larger in life, but very non-assuming as well. We're going to be joined by Dr. Mike as the show continues, and we're also featuring segments from last week's Media Day for the Tempe Union High School District. Coming up after the break, Tempe High is on the clock, and thanks again for joining us here on the Varsity Sports Show. We'll also talk a little high school sports and have some regular segments and some banter. Give us a call, 602-260-1060 here on the Varsity Sports Show. Vince and Dr. Mike, we'll be right back.
Check out KDUS AM 1060 on 100.7 KSLX HD2. That's right, HD Radio on 100.7 channel number 2.
Training Better Athletes was founded by renowned football coach Ron Sowers with the philosophy of training well-rounded young people in mind and body. TBA is the go-to for middle schoolers through the pros. Coach Sowers has worked with all sports but specializes in football offensive and defensive line skills training. Whether it's one-on-one or group training, reach out to Coach Sowers at trainingbetterAthletes.com or call him at 602-435-9064. You can't cheat the grind. Welcome to the Jaguar Nation. The Varsity Sports Show is proud to partner up with Canyon View High School in the West Valley to be the voice of Jaguar athletics. Tune in on Saturdays to hear the Jaguar Nation, featuring coaches, students, and staff between 9 and 10 a.m. on AM 1060 KDUS, and subscribe to the Varsity Sports Show YouTube channel to get free exclusive coverage of Canyon View sporting events. Welcome to the Jaguar Nation.
Jack it up.
Hey, local businesses, join the Varsity Sports Show and promote your business on our weekly radio show and game live streams. We have several options to promote your business affordably and reach our incredible audience. Call, text, or email us anytime if you'd like more information on joining our team. The Varsity Sports Show will work hard to promote your business through our audio and video platforms while also promoting all of our young people. 480-779-9437 or email us at varsitysportshow.com.
HD Radio is here for KDUS AM 1060. Check out your favorite shows and games on 100.7 KSLX HD2.
All right, guys, joined by brand new head football coach out at Tempe High School, the Buffaloes, storied program, Coach Sean Freeman. Coach Freeman, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show, first off. Secondly, you stepped into a situation that has a lot of history, but also has been down on its luck a little bit the past few years. How are you feeling walking into Tempe?
First and foremost, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Walking in, Tempe has a lot of tradition. Inside Tempe, though, there are some amazing athletes. It's just a program that right now, I don't like to use the word rebuilding, we're reloading. Okay. So, we got to get out there, and our coaches have to get out there and hit the hallways, recruit kids to come out to our program, come out here, have a good time for us and whatnot. It's a program that's been down, but I feel in the next couple of years we'll be back up there competing again.
What has the culture shift been like since stepping into this situation and the opportunities that you have there? Tell us a little bit about the culture of the Tempe community.
We're building the culture. Our culture is trust a process. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very tough. But in the end of the results, you're going to see what you put into is what you get. And so right now we're rebranding our culture into what we want to do, where we want to be at in the future. We got a lot of great guys, a lot of good young guys that are coming up that believe in what we're preaching as coaches, and they're taking it on their shoulders and running with it. So we're getting back to the mentality-wise, getting back to where we're supposed to be at.
All right, guys, joined by senior wide receiver cornerback Brian Strotter from Tempe High School, the Buffaloes. Brian, first thing I asked you, after I wanted to get the spelling of your name correct, I asked you how tall you are. How tall are you again?
I'm 6 foot.
Okay,
6 foot.
And so where do you see yourself playing in college? As a defensive back or a receiver?
I really see myself playing as a defensive back, even though I guess people really call me I'm better at receiver, but I really see myself as a corner in college.
You want to play defense, so a 6 foot corner. Those are kind of like unicorns. You don't see a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
So that's a good opportunity for you. Talk a little bit about the culture of your program now at Tempe since Coach Freeman's been there. How have things changed? You a little bit more excited going into this year?
With Coach Freeman being there, we definitely have way more confidence in winning winning in our schedule, and with Coach Freeman being there, the team has came together more as a family,
All right, guys, joined by Tempe High School Buffaloes linebacker, sophomore Elias Johnson. Elias, I got to ask you, you told me you're a sophomore. These guys are all seniors. You might find one or two juniors, but what's a sophomore doing here? You must be doing some things right out there at Tempe.
Yeah, a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication.
As a sophomore?
Yeah.
And so, Coach, it's obvious Coach Freeman has stepped into a situation, and he's calling on leaders. He doesn't care what year you are. He just wants guys to lead. Are you one of those guys?
Yes, sir, I am.
Talk a little bit about the culture of your defense. Okay, tell us a little bit. What are some of the things that Coach is working with you on, wanting to get you guys better at doing?
We're definitely not the biggest team, but we are definitely smart and physical. We have a lot of quick kids on our team, so our team's very physical, smart, and we're dedicated too.
All right, guys, joined by Tempe High School Buffaloes wide receiver safety AJ Pacheco. AJ, going into your senior year, you have a brand new head football coach, a new coaching staff. What's different besides some new people there out at Tempe High?
It's a lot more stable than the past couple of years.
Okay.
I've been here at Tempe.
What are some of the changes with Coach Freeman that you like? Some things that he's come in that he's been able to do or say. What are some things that kind of strike you?
He's a lot more stricter on us than our past couple of coaches, because our past couple of coaches just let things slide that weren't right, and he doesn't do that.
Welcome back, and we just keep rolling right along. So joined in studio by local orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mike Steingart, son of Dr. Paul Steingart, who was longtime Phoenix Suns team doctor, practiced here in the Valley, early pioneer of sports medicine and high school sports. So, Dr. Mike, you obviously work with a lot of high school kids, a lot of high schools. Talk about the early days, and your dad had his office up on 32nd Street and Bell Road when it was all dirt roads back then. And Arizona is a relatively young state, so it wasn't that long ago. I mean, maybe, 50 years, maybe 40, 50 years. So what were some of the early days of sports medicine in high schools like?
Any child, any person, any boy or girl that needed a sports physical, my dad would take to his office, do the sports physical for no money, free.
Wow.
And that's what it was like, because he was a rural doctor. Bell Road and 32nd Street was 10 miles from any housing or any, Northern Avenue in Arizona was a northmost avenue. And there was no Tatum didn't go to Bell.
Yeah.
40th Street wasn't there. There was no housing. And so I remember growing up, when I was in medical school, I would be making rounds to his rural patients on Greenway on dirt roads and starting IVs and putting in Foleys on people that couldn't get to the hospital. We didn't have that many hospitals.
And talk about the outreach, to the high schools early on, because anytime there's a change coming, it's oftentimes it one of two things. It's often embraced very heavily, or it's pushed back big time because of the unknowns involved. What were the early days like with approaching, doing the outreach with the high schools? What was the big fear back then?
Well, people didn't know that you were going to get dehydrated and fall dead on the field.
Yeah.
People didn't have – kids would get cardiac arrhythmias, and they would die on the field. Hydration. The coaches were extremely generous in allowing my father on the field. He put on numerous free seminars to all the coaches, and would always have food there. He'd always have food, either lox and bagels or something, coffee. I mean, it was like family to us, and they'd even come over. Well, eventually it morphed into something called TOPS, which is still today. They did, I think, my brother Scott Steingart, who is an excellent family doctor.
Did he pay you to say that?
No.
Okay.
He owes me big for it. But they are still putting on these free physicals for these students. And they're every year now. They were twice a year with my father, and he would even do free physicals at various high schools, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, it's called TOPS, TOPPS. Anybody interested, any coach is interested, go to tops.org or something.
It's actually, it's topsaz.org. It's topsaz.org, and you get all the information on free physicals. And usually, and I think I overheard your brother when he was on the phone, he said that they do them, the big push is to get them done in April for the fall. So
Right.
we may have obviously missed that window, but hang on, bookmark that website, stay in contact with them, and it's free. Free, why not?
They not only do physicals, they do EKGs. So you have the medical school also is bringing down their medical students. You have doctors like myself, but other doctors donating time. Nobody gets paid doing this.
Yeah.
It is one of the most rarest situations where everybody is volunteer. You have volunteers from the high schools. You have volunteer nurses. You have people from the hospitals coming down just to get these kids free physicals. And we have picked up many different problems early on, especially cardiac. Dr. Rappaport, who is now deceased, really, the cardiologist took it under his belt and developed an entire cardiovascular fitness or testing for these children. But my father was very much into the high schools. And I remember growing up, we would go every Friday night to Paradise Valley High School, which was way out there, and they had a horrible team, but they played their guts out, and I learned how to do sports medicine from Paradise Valley High School.
And there's also a story you were telling me about how your dad became very disenchanted with some of the coaching in youth sports, so that he volunteered to coach a team in addition to having a practice and working and doing outreach. How did he get involved in coaching? Like, what happened?
My dad was a sports advocate, but he wasn't a sports nut.
Okay.
And he loved athletes because he felt that they could work their problems through exercise and physiology. So when I was in grade school, they had Little League. And Little League back then was, of course, you had coaches, that's all they wanted to do was win. And there was a small minority of students that would be sitting on the bench and never playing. So it bothered my father, and he after work would come down and start coaching a couple Little League teams at Madison Meadows. And that's where he made a rule. Everybody plays no matter what.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you couldn't even swing a bat. If you're on the team, you're playing. You may play right field, but you're playing. And everybody did that. And inevitably, it was a real positive experience because that reflected when he won the championship. The other coaches were a little upset. How can this guy win the championship when everybody's playing?
Yeah.
And he did because everybody was engaged. So he was very much a team player, and he was a very good coach too, by the way.
What would your dad think of the state of sports medicine today?
Well, it's changed because family doctors, he's developed it from a family medical perspective. He considered sports medicine in a 78-year-old person who fractures her hip. That could be sports medicine. He felt that there was more to just orthopedics, like fixing bones and joints or fixing your anterior cruciate ligament or doing an ankle arthroscopy than that. And sports medicine encompassed nutrition. It encompassed psychological. It encompassed education. He was very strong on education. All that together, and now today, sports medicine is more focused on, what orthopedic surgeon did you go to, and which one did you go to, the one that only does toes or the one that only does elbows?
Yeah.
Well, back in my day and in my training, we learned a lot about everything, and the guys could do it today, but medicine has been pushed into this super specialty, and I think a lot of stuff falls through the cracks.
Wow. Joined in studio by Dr. Mike Steingart, longtime Valley orthopedic surgeon, Valley resident, and growing up in Central Phoenix and been all over the place and helped, his dad. He was a ball boy for the Phoenix Suns in the early years, and we're going to talk more about that experience, along with Jerry Colangelo, Cotton Fitzsimmons, and John McLeod, and John Wetzel, and Paul Westphal, and the names go on and on and on. When we come back from the break, we're also kind of giving you a little look at Tempe Union High School District Media Day last week with their football program. So we're hearing from those coaches and players throughout the show. Thanks again for joining us here on the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. Vince and Dr. Mike coming back after the break. Go Varsity.
Ready to bring KDUS AM 1060 into your home with Alexa?
Hi, I'm Alexa.
Download the KDUS AM 1060 skill and enable. Then say, Alexa, open KDUS AM 1060.
This is where I start my day.
Hey guys, Vince here to talk about Angel Dentistry. It's where my wife and I have gone for over 10 years, and we trust them with our routine and extensive dental care because they care. Dr. Amber Angel is an Arizona native, born in the town of Miami, and has been practicing in the Valley over 20 years. For general to comprehensive dental services, call 602-788-2008. Located off of Cave Creek Road just north of the 101 in North Phoenix. Angel Dentistry, proud supporters of our young people and proud partners of the Varsity Sports Show. The Varsity Sports Show is proud to partner with SaberCat Athletics. That's right, the Scottsdale Saguaro SaberCats are on the Varsity Sports Show. Join the varsity team as we cover the Cats during the SaberCat Report on Saturday morning's Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS Arizona, featuring players, coaches, and commentary. Look out for live stream coverage of Saguaro SaberCat sporting events by going to YouTube and searching for Varsity Sports Show, then click that subscribe button to stay up to date. The Saguaro SaberCats are here. Hey, local businesses, join the Varsity Sports Show and promote your business on our weekly radio show and game live streams. We have several options to promote your business affordably and reach our incredible audience. Call, text, or email us anytime if you'd like more information on joining our team. The Varsity Sports Show will work hard to promote your business through our audio and video platforms while also promoting all of our young people. 480-779-9437 or email us at varsitysportshow.com. Chris Scott of RE/MAX is Central Oregon's best realtor for anyone thinking of a vacation home or relocation. He's our very own born and raised Phoenician who moved his family to Central Oregon nearly 15 years ago. Contact Chris if you're thinking of exploring beautiful Central Oregon. It truly is living at its best. 541-999-5614. Proud partner of the Varsity Sports Shows, it's Dylan.
Need social information about KDUS AM 1060? Try KDUS1060.com, at KDUS AM 1060 on Twitter, and Facebook.com/KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome to Dylan. He's out and about looking for fun. He's Dylan. Brought to you by Chris Scott of RE/MAX Key Properties in Bend, Oregon, where it's living at its best. 541-999-5614. And now, it's Dylan. Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. Vince DeLisio joined in studio by, I was going to call him my old friend, my new friend, Dr. Mike Steingart, longtime Valley orthopedic surgeon, sports medicine physician, and ball boy for the Phoenix Suns. What do you take more pride in that on your resume? What's on your resume, that you were a ball boy for the Phoenix Suns or that you're an orthopedic surgeon? What do you think people are more interested in hearing about?
I'm a pretty boring person.
I don't know. I mean, I know it took a lot of school to get, to become a doctor, but that's, it can sound kind of boring. I would think you should lead off with the fact that you were a ball boy.
Well, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could say that I was a ball boy, and I was.
Yeah.
But you learn a lot from being a ball boy. You really learn a tremendous amount about the hard work and the players and the life on the road. I was throwing towels for the visiting team. My brother Richard was throwing towels for the Suns eventually.
Okay. And he got the good job.
Well, actually, it was kind of fun on both because I got to run back and forth.
Okay.
But there's a story he told me when Neil Walk got locked in the bathroom before the game.
Oh, wow.
And as a ball boy, you were responsible for getting people out.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Prosky, who was a character unto himself, the trainer, and my brother Richard would always come out of the locker room being the last one. Well, I guess Neil Walk was doing something. They didn't see him. Now, the guy's only 6'11".
Yeah.
How could you miss him?
Yeah.
Well, they get to the court, and they're calling all the players to come out, we're introducing, and they call Neil Walk. Neil Walk doesn't show up. And then my brother Richard looked to Joe, and they had locked him in the dressing room. And so he ran back as fast as he could. They opened the door, and Neil Walk is like trying to get out, and he couldn't, but he finally came out and started
and while we're on the topic of helping or noticing guys that are kind of hard to not notice, our next guest has a regular segment on the show, and he's definitely not very hard to notice. He's probably one of the most disgusting human beings I've ever met. His name is Dylan. Dylan, are you there? Oh, okay. All right. He's coming on. So he's having a technical issue. So I'll set up that segment again. But anyway, so we do this segment, Dr. Mike, called It's Dylan. And it's a guy I grew up with in the neighborhood. I don't need these organizations, calling saying, you're not being fair to people, you're bullying people. He gives it to me just as much as I give it to him. You guys just don't see that, and so it's a guy I grew up with in the neighborhood. We have a lot of fun, and we do this segment every week called It's Dylan. But Dylan, there's another side to him. He's also a longtime Valley football coach, youth coach. He's an educator. He's a teacher. He does a pretty good job. He is actually a pretty decent guy, and we're going to put him on right now. Good morning, Dylan. Oh, okay. All right. He is still trying to work through getting on. So we were talking about the state of high school athletics, of sports medicine, and dealing with families. And so you also wanted to weigh in a little bit on the fact that because you deal obviously a lot of families. Your dad dealt with a lot of families as a family practitioner and as an orthopedic surgeon. What's your take on the state of relationships and family relationships, parents with coaches now and educators?
Well, I know quite a few educators. Dwight Lynn, he's a musician educator. Charles Lewis, a great jazz educator, but also teachers. And they have a tremendous responsibility to educate, and yet some of the main problems they have that I would see that I've talked to them is sometimes you were right. The parents are trying to expect too much or expect too little out of their students or their children.
Dylan, good morning, sir.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. So,
all right, good.
All right, so
good. Now we can start the show.
So I want to introduce you to Dr. Mike Steingart. Dr. Steingart, this is the guy. So I told you, off mic, that I do a lot of outreach in the community, a lot of charity work with the underserved, underprivileged people in the Valley. And this is one of just those. I try to give him a little bit of airtime, kind of boost his confidence a little bit. And Dylan's one of those guys that, grew up in the neighborhood. And he also was a longtime coach. He coached he coached kids. So Dylan, what do you have to say about all that?
Well, thank you for the plug, giving me some credit and being nice this morning.
Yeah.
Apparently you have a real professional in the office that you're trying to impress.
You didn't hear what I said before you joined the air, and that's fine. You can listen to the replay later. But we start off the show talking about high school recruiting and ethics. And you coached for a long time. I mean, what's your take?
Well, you know what? We always had the idea and the take that, and I have a lot of experience in this, not directly, I think, of what you're getting at, but you know what? I'm not a big fan of it. I'm pretty, I guess.
Of illegal recruiting?
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Of any, really. Once you start the recruiting process, once you start grooming kids or stroking them up and budding your, I guess, just butting into other people's business, that's recruiting. And we would get touched on a little bit like that. We never really got directly affected.
Yeah.
Once or twice, a kid would leave us due to some. I never blame the kid. We always had great kids, and they always turned out to be great at where they went, and more power to them.
Yeah.
It was never the kid's fault. Parents get influenced. Sometimes the kids love that extra attention, and all of a sudden, they're the other school, the new coach is their new favorite person, or whoever's getting in their ear. Not a huge fan. I'm not going to say anything real derogatory towards people to keep it professional, but they know it's wrong. But, at some point, they got to check their ego and understand what we're doing is building young men. And you can do that with the kids that are on your campus. You don't need to necessarily go out and get somebody to boost your talent level if that's what it's about. But, and overall, just not a big fan. So with the recent news, it hit a little hard for me personally because the Chavez AD is a good friend of mine. We go back way back. He's an Oregonian. We went to college together. So when he came out and made that public, part of me was like, good for him, and part of me was, just watch yourself and watch the storm. Just be careful.
Well, it's been going on for so many years, so it was no big shock. I mean, it happens all the time. You hear it, you see it, and a lot of times, and a lot of the coaches that are trying to do the right thing, that are doing the right thing, they kind of take it in stride and know that, it's out there, it's going to happen, but the ones that are doing it and blatantly doing it or passing it off as, oh, well, I'm just, congratulating a kid or wishing him well or whatever,
my point to that is what happened to the, you're not supposed to be calling kids. I mean, period.
Yeah.
I understand social media. I'm not a big fan of it. Obviously, I have the Facebook thing for my dog and whatnot. It's kind of a fun way to show what we're doing and what we're up to and to keep in touch with my Oregonians and some friends around the country and whatnot. But, I just was never a big fan of, kids would come to me and say, hey, so-and-so reached out to me and told me great game and good job and, what are your plans this summer, things like that. And I'm going, well, that's a little creepy. But, they keep their hands out of my cookie jar, they'll keep their hands. If they reach too far, the lid might shut on their hand a little bit.
Dr. Mike, what's your take on that?
I agree with him.
Yeah.
I just also...
Not many people do in general, but the fact that on this topic, it's actually a good topic, yes, so we agree, okay?
Well,
wait, hold on a second, Dylan. Dr. Mike just had a thought he wanted to share.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay, Dylan. I just want you to know, Dylan, that I agree with you 100%, but I don't want to I'm in enough of a mess with other orthopedic surgeons, so I know what to say at the right time.
There you go. There you go. Hey, I'm not coaching right now, so I feel like I can say anything.
Yes.
There's not a lot of guys out there that are going to come up to me and say anything about it anyway. So,
yeah.
I feel safe. I feel like I'm okay.
What message would you give to coaches out there that maybe, that are tempted, to
Yeah, it's hard, Vince, because some of these guys, you always talk about, and I appreciate it, that some guys do it for the right thing. I think everybody's in it in the beginning, and I think everybody in our profession stays in it. And I really do believe that wholeheartedly that the majority of them and the majority of their heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
When it comes down to the win at all costs type thing, that again, it's deeper. It's ego. It's what are people thinking of me? What are people thinking about me? How do I look? What are people going to say about me? Am I going to win?
And Dylan, real quick, and we're real short on time, but I do have to say this. Now, it's obvious, full disclosure. I mean, we work with a lot of high schools here on the Varsity Sports Show, and some, that we contract with to live stream games and all that. There's a couple guys that win a lot that are doing this the right way. Now, if a kid is in 8th grade and he wants to go to their school and the kid lives in, call it Glendale, and he wants to go out to Gilbert or Scottsdale or Chandler, I mean, that's on him. And the coach isn't recruiting the kid out to come out and see him. And so there's coaches that I've had heart-to-heart conversations with that I know they're doing it, and they are not. And now they're winning, and that's on them. Good for them. They're doing it the right way. So it's Dylan Weinmiller.
Yep.
Yeah. Dylan.
All right, hey, we'll catch up. I've got some good stories for you for next week.
Perfect. We'll look forward to it. Thank you, Chris Scott of Remax up in Bend, Oregon. Thank you, Oregonians, for listening to the program. Folks, when we come back from the break, we are going to hear from Corona del Sol High School, some players, and a certain good friend of mine that's a director of football operations out there. When we come back from the break here on the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and Dr. Mike Steingart, we'll be back. Thank you for listening to the Varsity Sports Show, where our mission is to empower education and enable dreams, creating an unmatched platform to showcase talent both in front of and behind the microphone in radio, television, podcast, and live streaming. The Varsity Sports Show, still your home for youth, high school, college, and you in Arizona and beyond.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
This is Coach Lucas Ramirez, and you are listening to the home of the Saguaro Sabercats, the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS.
Hey, local businesses, join the Varsity Sports Show and promote your business on our weekly radio show and game live streams. We have several options to promote your business affordably and reach our incredible audience. Call, text, or email us anytime if you'd like more information on joining our team. The Varsity Sports Show will work hard to promote your business through our audio and video platforms while also promoting all of our young people. 480-779-9437 or email us at varsitysportshow.com. In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
KDUS AM 1060 Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix is brought to you by AC by J, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Drains.
This program is paid for by the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization, and its partners.
You're listening to the Varsity Sports Show, home of Arizona's youth, high school, college sports, and you, empowering education and enabling dreams, right here on KDUS AM 1060 in Arizona. And now, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show.
I've been to Rome, Dallas, Texas. Man, I thought I'd seen it all. Around the world, searching every corner.
All right, guys, joined by Corona del Sol, offensive line, defensive lineman, Keona Pete, going into his senior year for the Aztecs here. Keona, you come from a long line of some pretty successful people with the same last name as you.
Yes, sir.
How are you any different? Are you better?
I wouldn't say all that, just so I don't get beat up by any of my brothers. You know what I mean?
Don't worry, nobody listens to our show.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I hope they don't listen because they'd be mad if I heard me say that. But the whole family. It's great having older siblings bringing you into sports.
Yeah.
They get you going at a young age. Our parents would get us going at a young age to non-contact sports. We actually didn't play. None of my siblings played football until high school.
Wow.
Actually.
Okay.
So
prior to that, so what was your sport? Was it basketball, baseball, soccer?
I played basketball, football, and baseball. Those are my main three sports.
But before high school?
Yeah, that before high school.
Okay.
That's what I was playing. Yeah, so I'd play those three sports. Those were my mains. I actually played a little bit of quarterback when I played football. So,
really?
Yeah.
You throw?
Yeah, my dad was his main rule is no contact before high school. He wants to save the body. My dad played in the NFL.
Yeah.
So he's all about preserving the body. So he didn't let us play till high school. So yeah, we were playing flag football. I was playing quarterback and middle linebacker.
Nice. So, what was your motivation? Obviously, coming from the family, was there a lot of pressure to follow in footsteps? Were you able to kind of blaze your own trail? I mean, what was that like?
Yeah. When you're growing up behind, as successful as my siblings were, so there's always a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
That's almost undeniable, but. It's great to be in more of a family because they just help you out with everything you need. You can go to your siblings for.
Do you have an interest that not a lot of people know about? Like, do you have a hobby? Like,
you play the saxophone? Do you do something that maybe is totally uncharacteristic of what you do, in pads?
I'm really into music, so I do a little bit
so I wasn't that far off.
Yeah, I do a little bit of singing.
Singing?
I play piano.
Okay.
I play trumpet.
No
and
kidding.
I can play the ukulele just a little bit.
Ukulele?
Yeah, I was working on it this last summer.
Okay. All right, joined by out here at Media Day for the Tempe schools, I am joined by Corona del Sol offensive defensive lineman Matt Orthman. Yep. Matt, you're going into your senior year. You obviously have gone through a coaching change. Coach Beck told good guy, ran a good program, solid program. What have you noticed is the difference in a coach like Jake Barrow?
Well, definitely with the younger coach, you see a different perspective on just not only their coaching style, but just the way that they treat players and all that. And it's definitely been a change. It's definitely been a good change, though, I believe. I think that the culture that we're building with the new coaching staff has been one that's been positive this year. And it's just great to be able to see two different sides of it because, most kids don't ever see more than one coach, and it's really interesting to be able to see more than one perspective on everything.
Last year was a bit of a down year, obviously. Year before, pretty good year from what I remember, and so it's been kind of an up and down type of thing, but there's always been a strong foundation there at Corona. What's it going to take? You can give me an easy answer and say we got to win more games, but what's it going to take to get you to that next level with the team buying in? What is it?
Well, one thing is that this year we definitely have a tougher schedule, and with the region change, I think that brings a lot more challenge to our team. Okay. But I also think it brings a lot more opportunity for us as well. I think that with us seeing tougher teams like Chandler and other teams such like that, I think it just allows us, it gives us a bigger perspective on what playoffs can look like and what challenges it's going to bring. And I think that's really good for our team. I think it helps us later down the road.
Let's talk about you personally and the whole recruiting process. And I know, a good friend of mine that also works with Corona is Coach Lou Perone. Coach Perone from my recruits is, oftentimes brings another element to this whole recruiting story. And how has that process been going for you personally?
Well, I think Perone has definitely helped to elevate our school on the map, really, because I think this year, compared to last year especially, the amount of seniors that have offers, it's really changed. It's really changed, and that was one thing that our school really struggled with these past few years. That was one thing that a lot of kids just really did not like about everything before. Is just there maybe one or two kids, but apart from that, our recruiting was very, very specific to one or two kids. But now, with that access to my recruits and Coach Perone, he's really helped put a lot of our players on the map and show a lot of coaches what the talent that we have at Corona.
All right, guys, a very unique opportunity here as I am joined by the Director of Football Operations at Corona del Sol, who's also a former, you're never really a former coach. You just kind of take a break for a little while. Chad Ackerley, former ASU football player. Chad, you have a son in the program, so you're coming at it a couple of different ways. Number one, you work within the program. You're on staff. You've coached before, so you're watching and sitting back watching some of these guys do their thing also. But you're also a parent, and you're a parent of a pretty good athlete, too. What's that like? All of those things.
I think particularly with Corona and the youth program that we have that has kind of fed into Corona, where I know all these kids. I've known all these. Corona's a true neighborhood program. We're not bringing in transfers. We're bringing in kids from South Tempe and Chandler kind of West Chandler that live in the area and they live in the neighborhood and they feed into Corona. And so seeing these kids from first grade, second grade, junior high, and being a part of them growing up is really, now when they're in high school and high school football, I've told them all along, like in sixth grade, hey, that doesn't matter. What matters is what happens, your junior and senior year.
I've had a chance to kind of watch on social media to see, what you've done the last few years. I have, and I didn't admit this to you, but I wanted to see what was going on at Corona, and you were coaching the freshman team, and you took a lot of pride in working with those kids. Particularly, you've got a son in the program, as I said, who's a pretty good quarterback. What would you say, the foundation laid at the freshman level, how important is that foundation to carry them through high school?
I really think that is, when you look at the long-term success of a program, what happens the freshman year and how you set the tone from a discipline standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint. We use the same terminology, the same verbiage that Coach Barrow uses.
And not a lot of programs do.
Yeah, a lot of programs, the freshmen do their thing, the JV do their thing, and then they're kind of reteaching everybody when they get to the varsity. We've started with the youth program where we use the same terminology, run the same offense. Have a lot of our coaches that are part of our youth program are the freshman coaches or on the freshman staff. So it's very fundamental based so that we're building a foundation of discipline and fundamentals so that as they grow into their football bodies as varsity players, they can hit the ground running.
All right, welcome back, guys. And it's a regular party in studio here. Coach Ed Smith, Easy Ed, who's on after us, stepped in. He actually brought back one of my mom's plates. My mom, we had him over for dinner over at my mom's house, at my parents' house, my mom and dad, a couple weeks back, and he and his son and significant other, and it was a great time. Coach brought the plate back because he knew I was going to be in studio today, and they were just chatting. Dr. Mike was showing Ed some pictures of some early Phoenix Sun stuff. We're going to transition because I wanted to get a chance to feature Desert Vista, the Thunder, as well, and we're going to run some of that interview from last week's media day out there, give those guys some props out there, and then after the break we'll be back and talk a little bit more with Dr. Mike Steingart, and we'll also talk a little recruiting as well. Aaron, take it away.
Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
Joined by Desert Vista Thunder quarterback Braxton Thomas here on the Varsity Sports Show. Braxton, you're a junior this year.
Yes,
you're
sir.
being counted on by your team to lead this team. What's that role involve?
Really just starts in the weight room, really trying to win the team over, just show them that I mean business too, all of that stuff, and it's really just a full-time job. They look at you in the hallways, they see you. You're just trying to set a good example all the time.
All right, joined by Desert Vista Thunder linebacker Antonio Delgado. Antonio, I say this all the time, that so much is made of offense at the high school level. Talk a little bit about the pride of Thunder's defense.
So far, we've just been working every day and rallying to the ball, and I feel like that's really what makes a defense is coming together on the ball, because one person can't make a play. It's 11 people. So we're just making sure everybody's on the same page, and making sure we get the calls right, because if one person messes up a call, then that could mess up the whole play.
All right, guys, joined by first-year Desert Vista head football coach Nate Gill. Coach Gill, who came over from Sierra Linda High School. Coach, you had a lot of success at your last stop. What is the goal? You obviously came into the Tempe community out at Desert Vista with a goal, with a promise, and what was it? What did you sell the community on besides more wins?
First of all, I let them know that I was extremely honored to even be in the position, and I've followed Desert Vista since I moved to the state of Arizona, and the one thing that I do know is it's a really proud community with a ton of tradition, and it's hasn't necessarily been great as of late, but it's still there. It's still Desert Vista, and it's Navy and championship gold, and I'm letting them know that we're going to stop at nothing to try to get back to those glory days.
I see, and I've had a chance to chat with one of your defensive leaders, one of your offensive leaders. It sounds like you've got a pretty strong foundation to work with.
I have a great group of kids. They show up every day ready to work and extremely eager, and makes coming over across the mountain really easy, and something I take tremendous pride in. Those guys have made my transition phenomenal.
Your caddy, Ray Adams, takes you beyond the 18th hole on Saturday mornings with Great American Golf from 6 to 7 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
Founder-level sponsors, the Kristen Graziano Group with HomeSmart Elite, are proud to be Saguaro alumni, community advocates, and your hometown realtors. The Kristen Graziano Group is ranked in the top 1.5% of real estate teams nationally, and your top-selling team right here in SaberCat territory. The Kristen Graziano Group can currently be seen on the Emmy-nominated TV show Selling the Valley of the Sun. When you're ready to buy, sell, or want to know the value of your home, reach out to the group that knows the neighborhood, the Kristen Graziano Group.
This is Dylan, the star of It's Dylan on the Varsity Sports Show. Tune in Saturdays for It's Dylan.
Chris Scott of RE/MAX is Central Oregon's best realtor for anyone thinking of a vacation home or relocation. He's our very own born and raised Phoenician who moved his family to Central Oregon nearly 15 years ago. Contact Chris if you're thinking of exploring beautiful Central Oregon. It truly is living at its best. 541-999-5614. Proud partner of the Varsity Sports Shows, It's Dylan.
Easy Sports Talk with former NFL and MLB player Ed Smith and co-host Javon Adams airs Saturday mornings 10 to noon on KDUS AM 1060.
All right, joined by running back of this Mountain Point Pride football team, Jalen Rushing. Jalen, thank you for coming on the Varsity Sports Show. I look forward to getting to know you a little bit. First of all, let's talk about your program and what Coach Lauer has built out at Mountain Point. What's it been like for you the last couple of years?
Oh, it's been really different, building a whole new culture, building an actual team, and it's felt like family, so it's been really different.
It's important, obviously, to have a strong foundation and a strong offensive line. Talk a little bit about the guys, the 5 guys in front of you that are blocking. You got a veteran group coming back, or are they new guys?
There's some new guys, but I'll trust them with my life. Even now, building that relationship with them. Caleb, Leha, I trust all the 5 guys up front with my life. I know I got time when they're blocking for me. So. Nice.
Okay. Favorite play?
Favorite play? Run play.
Which one? Inside zone, outside zone, pitch? What do you have a?
I like inside zone. It's really physical. And then it's like I'm stronger than you, I'm faster than you, I'm going through you. So yeah, okay. I like inside zone.
Okay, joined by quarterback Chris Arviso, a senior out at Mountain Point High School. Chris, welcome. First of all, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show. Secondly, tell us a little bit about your offense. What do you say you guys do well?
I'll say our tempo. We're trying to get fast, get a lot of plays off. I think last year we got 80 plays, on the offense side of the ball. So I feel like this year we're going to be way faster than last year.
Do you guys huddle?
No, it's just right back on the ball.
Wow. What's the conditioning like in practice? You guys must do a lot of conditioning.
Yeah. Last week they had us running in the sun for an hour.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of crazy.
So, and the quarterbacks have to run too? Come on.
Yes,
no,
I do.
Don't.
I
do they?
Yeah.
Oh, you do. Okay. All right. So up-tempo. So it's like a 2-minute offense every play. How many plays do you guys think you run a game? 80, 100 plays?
About.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. What else would you say, besides your tempo, that you do well specifically? Are you guys – now, obviously, I had a chance to talk to your running back. If it was up to number 33 here, you guys would be running inside zone every play, but you got to mix it up. What's your next best play?
A pass play.
Okay. All right, so I'm talking to the quarterback. He says a pass play. Okay, so a pass play, an inside zone play. Talk a little bit about your receiving core. You guys got a lot of targets, a lot of weapons?
Yes, we do. We have a lot of speed, I would say.
Okay.
And it's we have transfers too, so I feel just all the weapons around me, it's going to be hard to just guard one person. Because just of our speed too,
yeah.
I don't think too much teams could keep up with the speed that we have.
All right, joined by Mountain Point head football coach Eric Lauer. Coach Lauer, we were just talking a little bit off mic about some of the history of Mountain Point football and the past head coaches and the fact that you've been around over 15 years. And in the Tempe district, for that matter, you were the head coach for a couple of years out at Marcos Denisa. What's the feeling like? What's it feel like to be basically the dean of coaches in the Tempe district because there's so many new faces?
Well, first, it kind of makes you feel a little old, but a level of gratitude, that you're kind of seasoned and you've seen a lot, so you want to try to get it right. And we're looking to get some balance and kind of respect back at Mountain Point. If things like there might be some balance in the valley if Mountain Point could get to be competitive like it was before.
Mountain Point has always had a reputation of being a hard-nosed program. You go there, you're going to play among the best. You're going to be good. You're going to be solid. Would you still agree to this day that that's what your foundation is? Has the culture shifted at all with the times? Is there anything different now versus back then, 20 years ago?
I don't think so. I think you work to get it to that. I think you probably have to work on the physicality a little bit more maybe than you did with kids from years ago, but they're the same kid. You have to raise the bar up and have them reach expectations. I think this group might trust us a little bit more. This is year 3, but I do believe running the ball brings a level of physicality and can be demeaning when you're really getting after a team and they can't stop you. I think it's a facet of the game that maybe teams don't use as much.
All right, joined by McClintock Charger quarterback Peter Clark. Peter, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show. I want to start off and talk to you about the atmosphere here. You see all the Tempe schools are here. There's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement at this media day. How are you feeling about your guys' preseason out at McClintock?
I think it was a very good preseason, especially better than like last year and the year before that. We have a new coach, so I definitely think the culture here has changed, and I'm really excited for what we're going to bring to the table this year.
Talking about Coach Fell coming over from Mountain View, what do you feel he brings to the table maybe that's new, exciting, different, challenging?
He definitely challenges us to commit and show up every day. That was a big problem previous years. It's not getting enough commitment from people every day to show up. Coming to workouts during the summer at 6 in the morning. But I definitely think, he's a more friendly guy. He's definitely a more social guy. And so I feel like a lot of the kids can relate to that and really respect him. So,
what's it shaping up that you guys do pretty well at McClintock?
You mean in football ways?
Yeah.
Throwing the ball. Our passing game.
All right. Well, the quarterback here is telling me that. What's the second best thing you guys do? How's the defense?
It's looking pretty good this year. I say, it's new defense, so it's still a little, a couple miscommunications and stuff like that. But I definitely think our secondary is pretty strong this year. We're looking pretty good on.
All right, guys, joined by, here on the Varsity Sports Show, joined by McClintock Charger athlete, senior Jeremiah Latu. We're laughing because I asked off mic. I asked Jeremiah what position he plays, and what was your response again?
You're gonna have to talk to my coach about that one.
Okay, all right. So this begs the question: why do I have to talk to your coach about what position you play?
To be honest, I play running back, lineman, D lineman, linebacker.
Okay.
Wherever the team needs me.
Wherever the team. So you're a utility man. Okay. Yeah. You're an athlete. So today, though, here at Media Day, you are wearing jersey number 44. So that must mean, at least for today, you're not an offensive lineman.
Yes,
at least
sir.
for today. I got to ask you this, and I don't want to pigeonhole you, but you're allowed to tell me what your favorite is. Do you have a favorite position?
Favorite position? I would say D-line.
Okay.
Yeah, D-tackle.
Okay, D-tackle. So interior D-line, 1 technique, 3 technique. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 technique.
3 tech. Okay. What is it that you like about playing D-line specifically?
Man, you already know everything starts in the trenches. So, yeah. I just like the physical push around. Everybody gets pushed around.
Yeah.
We don't get as much credit, but, it's okay.
All right, guys, joined by McClintock Chargers head football coach Mike Fell. Coach Fell, welcome to the Varsity Sports Show. First of all, a question I have for you is, I had a chance to chat with Jeremiah Latu, and when I asked him what position he played, do you know what he said to me?
Whatever the coach wants, whatever the team needs.
That next best answer, that's a good answer, but he said you're going to have to ask my coach that question. So, all right, so, Coach, what does he play?
Well, first let me tell you what kind of young man he is. When I got there in March or April, whenever it was, he was in the weight room, and I'm like, how many more of these guys are there? I mean, you look at him, he's 6 foot, 245.
Yeah.
And he's built, and I went out, I saw him out on the track and do stuff. He can run. He benches 300, he squats 500. And what we're looking at, we may need him as a running back more because to protect for our quarterback.
Yeah.
If we're throwing the ball like I want to, and we may need him back there to do that. And I know he could pound it up in there and get some yards, but he could be a great offensive lineman for us. If we don't have that on the defensive side, he could be a defensive end or he could be an inside backer. So basically, I'm going to put him where we need him, and he'll be out on the football field. We're trying not to play guys two ways, but he'll be on our football field 85, 90% of the time.
He was also, he offered a pretty insightful analysis of your program top to bottom. And this is a guy, and I told him, I said, you know what, you should be coaching one day. And he said, talk to me in about 4 or 5 years, and I'll let you know then. But I asked him about the program, and he mentioned the fact that, you've got a strong passing game. He thinks for this year that, would you, and I also talked to your quarterback about it, and obviously your quarterback felt the same way, but would you consider yourself a pass-first team?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This offense, it's Tony Franklin's system's what it's called. I've been running it for the last 15 years. And when we're good, and even when we're not real good, we're throwing for close to 3,000 yards, and then we're rushing for over 1,000. And the big thing is you spread the defense out, and a fast screen out to your wideouts is like a sweep, And so what it does, it just opens the lanes for your running backs because – defense has got to be spread out to stop these guys that can catch and run with it, and we just got to get them the ball out there, and then it opens up the running lanes. So yeah, it's a pass first offense, and then but you take what the defense gives you. If they shut down the pass, you're probably able to run unless they're that much better than you.
How do you feel about what you've seen so far? Obviously, I'm asking you a loaded question. You're going to say, "Oh, I feel great about how everything is," but you came from a situation at another school, that was pretty stacked, pretty loaded out there in the East Valley, and now you're at McClintock and you're rebuilding things there. But what's the support been like?
Oh, it's been great. Mountain View has great young men. They work hard. Everything else, I think here I have better skill athletes. I've got cats that can flat out fly. You got the second fastest 400-meter kid in the state in Avant Ortiz, who is going to be one of my wideouts. So when he goes out there and runs a go route, there's no one going to catch him. They're going to have to back off. So then we just turn him around and throw it right to him. But we've got some real good athletes. Our McClintock the last 3 seasons. Last basketball season we were in the state semifinals. We won the state track meet. Now here's the next big season. It goes from basketball to track, now football. My job is to get those athletes out there and get them the ball and do things with them that, can do good things with.
Have you downloaded the KDUS AM 1060 skill for Alexa yet?
Dude, Alexa is frustrated. No matter how many times do you ask, the answer is male, chicken.
Once you're ready, say Alexa, open KDUS AM 1060 to listen to your favorite shows.
Hi, this is Mike from Beachin' with Beal, and you're listening to the Varsity Sports Show.
Hey guys, Vince here to talk about Angel Dentistry. It's where my wife and I have gone for over 10 years, and we trust them with our routine and extensive dental care because they care. Dr. Amber Angel is an Arizona native, born in the town of Miami, and has been practicing in the Valley over 20 years. For general to comprehensive dental services, call 602-788-2008. Located off of Cave Creek Road just north of the 101 in North Phoenix. Angel Dentistry, proud supporters of our young people and proud partners of the Varsity Sports Show.
Hello, sports fans. This is Dick Stockton, and you are listening to Arizona's home of youth, high school, college, and you, the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060, KDUS, Arizona.
We'll do what's best for the team, and we'll do what's best for you.
The Rich Eisen Show, coming to you weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com.
It's time for the Recruiting Spotlight, sponsored by My Recruits and Coach Perot.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. We're just having a party here today. Vince DeLisio joined by my new friend, Dr. Mike Steingart, longtime Valley orthopedic surgeon, son of the late Dr. Paul Steingart, who was the Phoenix Suns physician and early pioneer of sports medicine and orthopedics here in the Valley, particularly among the high schools. So you can thank now, Dr. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Stop me if I am incorrect, but you could probably thank your dad for the fact that high schools have full-time athletic trainers now and have team physicians.
Yeah, my father was responsible for that.
Wow.
And we had a training program in his little office in 32nd Street and Bell Road.
Yeah.
And he would train high school trainers.
Yeah.
He pushed through the law saying that you can't have a football game without a team doctor on the field.
Wow.
So
let's bring on an old friend of the program and Coach Lou Perone from My Recruits. Coach Perone, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Vince. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. Coach, I don't know if you met Dr. Mike, but Dr. Mike Steingart and a longtime Valley orthopedic surgeon and former ball boy for the Phoenix Suns. I think you should lead in with that one. I think that's going to open more doors for you, Doc.
Well, Dr. Mike, number one, it's great to meet you, and you've inspired me to say that I don't think a high school football team should be able to take the field without a full-time recruiter as well. That's something we should pass, Vince.
There you go. Okay, it's we'll stick it on the agenda. So, Coach, what do you got for us today?
You know, first of all, I don't want to really discuss any specific players today. I think really this is going to be a general recruiting talk because, you know, I listened to the great segments that you had over at Tempe Media Day. And first of all, I think Coach Mike Fell is going to do great things. I want to go on record.
At McClintock, yeah, great guy.
This is a program-changing type coach. I knew him when he was at Mountain View. I don't think that I think Mountain View definitely lost a great coach over there. You know, not that they didn't get a great one, but I think Coach Fell definitely is truly a class act, someone that's going to put the kids first, you know, really, really build that team camaraderie. So I really want to wish him luck. He definitely has some speed and some players over there that can definitely stand out. So it's going to be exciting to watch them this year.
What was interesting about Coach Fell is as I sat there and talked to him, you couldn't see it in his if you were listening, because it was an audio recording, obviously. I didn't have a camera set up. I wish I would have. But he's got this special twinkle. And when he talks about his team and his staff and how he delegates responsibilities, I mean, and it's passion and excitement. And he's just such a happy guy. And he's an intense guy, but it's passion. And it's directed passion about the game.
That's a great point. He is a fine mixture between business and pleasure, so to speak. He'll get the job done, but at the same time, he has a really great way of making his players respect him and like him. And that's something that, you know, is tough. I mean, I had a conversation with, Coach Mark Carter and Marcus Carter over at Desert Edge. And the high school football coach is really up especially in the state of Arizona, up against it, man. I feel they don't get enough credit. You know, you have some coaches out there that are just flat out grinding. And, you know, having been an assistant on several staffs, you know, you really get to see how much time and effort is put into this. You know, being in recruiting, when I get athletes and when I get parents that come to me and go, well, our head coach is doing nothing for us. Like, you don't even realize how much your head coach is doing for you just in general. Like, so when they get pigeonholed on recruiting to say, oh, well, they're not doing anything for us and they're not getting my name out, you know, it's kind of a double standard and it's a bit hypocritical. You know, sometimes they are doing absolutely nothing and refuse to do nothing. I have a coach out in another state that basically just tells kids flat out, if a coach calls for recruiting, I'm not even talking to him, so don't bother. So that's an extreme end, but I really believe that you've got some great coaches out here. You know, in the West Valley, you've got, you know, like I said, the Carter brothers, Lamar Early. I mean, there's some fantastic coaches out in this community, and you had several of them on through this Tempe Media Day. You know, at the end of the day, I think Jake Barrow is one of the best high school head football coaches in the country, let alone in the state of Arizona.
Hands down. I don't know if you heard the show leading off at the intro, and Dr. Mike obviously sitting here with me, but we talked about coaches of the year and the guys that you know, the haves versus the have-nots. Now, obviously, the guys that win, you know, success breeds success, and there's guys doing it the right way. I mean, Jason Mons is one of those guys because, you know, kids want to come to him. And you know, and Rick Garrison's another one out at Chandler. But, you know, and then you've got guys that are building it with kids in the neighborhood. Stephen Arenas is doing it at Carl Hayden. You know, he took 35 kids up to camp. It's the most ever that they had at camp. He took them up to Prescott. You've got Vance Miller, the new head coach out at Mesquite, who was at Arcata Pride before that. He's a Saguaro High School graduate, but Coach Miller, you know, and this will be his first year with that program. But from what I saw at camp, they got a lot of passion, a lot of kids, and doing a lot of good things. So there are those that are doing it, as they say, the right way, that you know, and parents, appreciate what you have. Appreciate what you have, because they're not going to be there forever, and support them like crazy.
Because I'll tell you, those guys, you mentioned Coach Arenas, and I've worked very closely with Steve and his brother Matt, and I'll tell you right now, those guys give the full tank and then some.
Yeah.
You're talking about they do whatever it takes to make these kids be in a better situation. Coach Hovick over at Central. I'm very
Chandler Hovick. He's another one.
I'm
Coach
very
McNutt.
thankful to be working with the new head coach of Kellis, Coach Koulos. He's a fantastic man, program-changing type guy, trying to build something over there. Another gentleman that I've had, you know, that had the chance to run a pretty storied program is Coach Golden over at Peoria. Another great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, first of all, knows football ins and outs, old school football guy, speaks my language. So much talent at Peoria. Like, when you start to see, and Coach Babb did a great job over there, but when you start to see that new blood come in, you start to see those players start to buy into it, he's like Coach Fell, where he's got that little bit of fire in him, but not so much fire that the kids are going to be afraid of him or fear him or hate him, right? So there's a fine mixture that these coaches have to go through. I just really wanted to take this time to really say thank you to some of those coaches. You know, the Coach Goldens, Arenases, Hovicks of the world. Coach Garrison, true class act. True class act. Not a program I get to work with very often. Spoke to him on an interview about 2 years ago.
Out at Chandler, yeah.
Just unbelievable person, right? So my hat goes off to him and the program that he's running, right? And you mentioned a couple of guys like Jason Mons. I mean, you can sit there, you can sit in the bleachers and talk crap about Jason Mons all you want. At the end of the day, this guy's the real deal. I mean, you know, he's ready for the next level. I think it's time for Jason Mons to
don't say that too loud.
To take, well, it's the truth. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, he's a guy that's ready for the next level. I think there should be an NCAA program out there that takes a leap on him and just says, hey, let's start from the bottom and run it from the ground up the same way you did, at Saguaro. So I wish him the best. And, just like I said, I wanted to tip my hat to the Arizona high school coaches and, wish them luck this season.
All right. Well, we're getting ready for a real tornado to start here in the next week or two with our programming and all the coverage. And you're obviously, Coach, you're a big part of it with My Recruits, and we're going to have a lot of fun this season. What do you think?
I can't wait.
You still consider yourself the greatest color analyst in the history of high school sports?
Absolutely. They don't know. Recruiting's become part-time for me now. I am a radio personality.
Yeah, you are a personality for sure, Coach. Yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Mike. Have a great show, Vince.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great. I'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Your wife's a saint. All right. Dr. Mike, in studio with Dr. Mike Steingart. That was the Recruiting Spotlight with Coach Lou Perot. Normally we focus on, a couple of key marquee kids in the community, and today we took a step back, more of a helicopter view, and talked about programs in particular and some coaches and the state of things out there. So, Dr. Mike, what's your take? Oh, first of all, let me ask you that, and then I've got a follow-up question to totally segue to something else. But your take on high school coaches now versus back then. Do you think it's become a little too much in terms of the responsibilities, the expectations that people have of these guys, not only having to focus on their own program, but also placing kids in colleges and doing other things? What's your take?
The primary concern of a great coach is the student's education and the student's ability to succeed in life. And you're right, there's so much other noise going on that's interfering with that. And so often I think that we forget what is the purpose of high school. It's not to get somebody so much to that level of wealth, but rather to educate and have them understand how to treat other people, how to be with other people, how to understand history and how we all got here. So I think there's a lot of pressure on coaches because many of these kids, they only relate to the athlete, to their athletics and the coach. And many times I've spoken with even doctors and lawyers, they said, had it not been for the coaching, my coach and the football, specifically football, I would not be here today. It changed my life. And this was in high school.
Wow.
Not college.
Yeah.
I was just talking to an attorney in my office about that. Just off the cuff, he told me. So as much as what's going on, I think there's a lot of pressure on these coaches, and it puts many of them in a bad light when actually they're doing many, many, many good things.
Yeah.
That, like your last guest had said, behind the scenes.
Yeah. Officiating is another thing that has been on attack. You see, if you can go on YouTube and type in, officials assaulted, and you see these guys, parents rushing out of the stands at youth games attacking these. No wonder there's a shortage of officials in this business. What do you think of that?
I think there's a little bit of self-indulgence in all of us, and some people don't believe actually that you have to have rules and the game exists because of these rules.
Yeah.
And they'll argue, and then they watch on television. In my day, it was like McEnroe. You remember the tennis guy that would, scream. At one Phoenix Suns game, I remember it was around New York Knicks time, which was around the State Fair time, and the people in the stands were so upset. This was back in the 70s. They started throwing, and they were all from New York, by the way. The Phoenix Suns fans didn't show up when the Knicks came to town. We're talking with Walt Frazier and all these great Willis Reed, Dick Barnett. And so they get mad at the refs for calling something against Earl Monroe, Earl the Pearl Monroe, who was great. And then they start throwing pennies on the floor. They had to call the game, and I think the game stopped for about 40 minutes because they had to clear the pennies off. And that's dangerous, throwing pennies
my gosh.
from the stands.
Oh, boy.
I think that's always been with us. It may be I think we're a little bit better in this country than we are in in countries like Spain or Mexico, where if something goes wrong, people.
Yeah, in a soccer match, sure.
Yeah. So I think we're getting there, but it's going to happen. It's just the nature of the beast.
When we come back from the break, folks, continue listening, please, because this is fun, and we're into our last segment, so the show's almost over. We're joined in studio by longtime veteran orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Mike Steingart, son of Dr. Paul Steingart, who was the longtime Phoenix Suns physician, sports medicine pioneer here in Arizona. You wouldn't have a team doctor and an athletic trainer if it wasn't for the efforts of this guy's dad many years ago. So that's what's going to, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little more Phoenix Suns history too, including favorite coaches, favorite players, some entertainment during games here on the Varsity Sports Show, AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. Go Varsity.
Games Out West, featuring Ryan Brooks, brings NFL, NBA, and local sports talk to you Monday nights at 7 here on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com.
Hey guys, Vince here to talk to you about a good friend of mine named Bob Jenkins. Bob is a Marine Corps veteran. Bob and his younger brother DJ own Vets Built Contracting. You've seen their trucks around Metro Phoenix, I'm sure. For 5 years, they've been hiring and putting veterans to work. Vets Built is licensed, bonded, and insured, both residential and commercial, specializing in renovations, remodeling, new build, casitas, safe rooms, or small commercial TI work. If you're a skilled veteran looking for work, a homeowner in need of work, or a commercial business needing TI work, please call Bob or DJ at Vets Built at 480-584-3675.
Hey, local businesses, join the Varsity Sports Show and promote your business on our weekly radio show and game live streams. We have several options to promote your business affordably and reach our incredible audience. Call, text, or email us anytime if you'd like more information on joining our team. The Varsity Sports Show will work hard to promote your business through our audio and video platforms while also promoting all of our young people. 480-779-9437 or email us at varsitysportshow.com. In 2019, the JV Sports Show podcast began with the idea of spotlighting young people in our community. In time, that podcast evolved into radio, television, and live stream, and through that evolution, new ideas have enhanced delivery, giving a stage to students both in front of and behind the microphone in Arizona and beyond. Thank you for supporting the Varsity Sports Show, now the Varsity Media Foundation, a 501c3 educational organization.
Carving out time in your afternoon for the Doug Gottlieb Show right here on KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 HD2, and KDUS1060.com. Weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show. AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. Vince DeLisio here in our final segment of what's been a very fast-paced, multi-topic show featuring so many things. We talked so many things, high school sports, some college, and we also have an in-studio guest here, the great Dr. Mike Steingart, who is the longtime Valley orthopedic surgeon and has grew up in Phoenix, grew up around the Phoenix Suns because, and by the way, his dad was the team doctor for the Suns, so regularly interacting with guys like Colangelo, Cotton Fitzsimmons. I want to talk to you about one thing. So we talk about, and this was the early days, the Madhouse on McDowell, Veterans Memorial Coliseum, the short shorts that the team used to wear, those uniforms and the knee-high socks. Back then, entertainment was not what it is today during games. It's like a circus now, with all the spotlights and the cheerleaders and the dance teams and all that. Back then, you were telling me about the Desert City Six.
Oh, the Desert City Six. So entertainment in between the games, in between, sometimes they would have people come down to the court, the foul shoot, and that was always a lot of fun. People would win a car or a bicycle. But one thing when I was growing up, especially early on, was the Desert City Six. And they were this jazz Dixieland group of guys that would go around in the Coliseum and start playing Dixieland jazz in between timeouts or at breaks, and they would go all over the place. Like they would go to.
So they weren't on the floor; they were up in the stands.
They were way up in the stands. they would be hanging out like many times the games weren't filled, but they would be way up, sitting down playing, and then they would stand, and they had a little drummer, a great clarinetist, by the way.
How did they come up with the Phoenix Suns gorilla as a mascot? Did somebody just say, well, we need an idea for a mascot? Oh, I got a gorilla suit in my closet. I can put that on. I mean, how did that happen?
That came out. My dad was the original gorilla guy ruptured his Achilles tendon.
Was your dad the Phoenix Suns gorilla for a time?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
No. Only when I didn't do my homework.
Yeah, okay. but I'm bummed. Okay.
But the gorilla came out. I think they went to some type of event. It was a costume thing, and they said, hey, why don't we try this? And he's a very, very athletic guy. And the first gorilla was absolutely outstanding. He offended so many referees.
Wow.
Earl Strom, Mendy Rudolph, Earl, what was his name? Earl Sokol or something. But some of these this guy was just absolutely fantastic, and he set the trend. And then they changed it when he got hurt. Somebody else took its place, and now it's what it is today.
Wow. Okay. So many things to ask you. Let's talk about, so in recent history, now the thing, in my opinion, that set off the wave of success that the team had that ultimately led to the 93 NBA Finals, we'll talk about that, but the 85-86 drug scandal that kind of set off the team, retooling everything else. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, drugs were never a big thing in NBA with the professional players. I know that because I was in the room, and I would be servicing the players, towels, and I have to sometimes get them hot dogs or food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was not a big deal when I was a ball boy. That was back in the 70s. But I think, like anything else, it's very easy to get into that, and I think Walter Davis and some of the Suns were caught.
Sweet D, yeah.
Yeah. I think they were involved in something or another, but they got out of it, and I'm not clear exactly what happened. Walter Davis never got convicted of a felony or anything like that.
Yeah, he was one of the good guys.
Yeah, but it wasn't very common, and it may have pervaded in this area, but he got, I think, eventually he's up in Denver now.
Yeah.
But I didn't see a lot of drugs. And I didn't see, actually, I saw none when I was a ball boy. They would have pills like vitamins and stuff, but not anything major.
Now, out of the bad came a little shred of good that turned into a big amount of good, and that was, with in 1987-88, the players that came in, the young guys. You hear these names who the banners are hanging from the rafters now in the building. You had Tom Chambers, you had Kevin Johnson, Mark West, Dan Marley was drafted. You had Eddie Johnson come to town. Talk a little bit about that and the team getting retooled, and then Cotton having to step in again and save the day.
It all started with Connie Hawkins. I'm going to tell you right now, the Hawk that was in the 70s.
Yeah.
I saw him play. A fantastic person, too. But it all started once you have one great player like Hawkins, and he was that great. He actually was the team. They had other great ones. Gail Goodrich, you had Dick Van Arsdale.
Curtis Perry was another name, yeah.
But it's once you have one great one, the team progressively got better and better. You saw what you could create. And what was the question again?
Let's move on. No, you nailed it. We started talking about leading in with the team being rebuilt in the late 80s with Kevin Johnson. You have a story about Kevin Johnson that nobody knows.
Well, my brother knows Skip.
What'd you call him?
Skip. We call him Skip.
Okay.
I'm not sure how he got that name.
Who, Kevin or your brother?
No, my brother.
Oh, your brother's nickname is Skip.
But,
okay.
anyway, so Kevin Johnson was very sick. They were playing the Utah series, which they eventually won. I can't remember the exact date. It may have been 92, 93.
Okay.
But anyway, as I said before, the doctors would go with the team now because of what happened to Jimmy Fox in L.A. And so Kevin's really sick, and my dad had him in the hospital up in Utah, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And I don't know what got into my father, but they had to get Kevin, ready to play. There were 2 games in Utah, and it was a tough series. So this goes way back to his early childhood, I think, that being from immigrant parents from Russia and Romania, there was something in our lives called chicken soup. And the
magic elixir,
Yeah, with the real matzo balls, too. And, and we grew up with that as well. So my dad starts looking around Salt Lake City with my brother Scott with a taxi cab driver, and they're trying to find a place that has chicken soup at like 9 o'clock at night in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Well, that was not easy. And eventually they found a place. And then my brother Scott said to my dad, he said, hey, what if Kevin Johnson doesn't like chicken soup? My dad said, it's going to work.
Yeah.
It always works.
Wow.
And so they got some Greek chicken soup with real matzo balls.
Okay.
And they took it back to Kevin, who absolutely loved it. And he, from what my brother said, he finished it all. And even though he missed one game, he got into the second game, and we won the series.
Wow.
All because of chicken soup.
All because of chicken soup with matzo balls.
But, yeah. From a Greek restaurant.
From a Greek restaurant. Wow.
In
You
Salt
talk
Lake
about
City.
multicultural in Salt Lake City, of all places. Amazing story. Amazing story. Your favorite coach of all time, regardless of wins and losses, somebody that you felt touched not only the players but the community in the best light, representing the Suns.
Cotton
Fitzsimmons.
Yeah.
Why?
He was a real players coach, and he really had a great relationship with my dad. He came over the house a lot. He knew our whole family. But Cotton not only understood the players, but he understood their families. He would go up to people's families. His wife would make sure the families had clothing, would make sure the kids went to school, all of the players. So Cotton was really his whole family, and Cotton himself was, in my opinion, the best coach I ever met.
Favorite player of all time?
Connie Hawkins.
Okay. Why? He's obviously a great player, but
he was better than he could play in today's league. He could. He started that whole Julius Erving thing, and he was smaller than Julius Erving, but he never gave up. Even when we would lose, he never said a negative thing about anybody or anything. And he had a lot to be negative about. He wrote a book called Foul, where he was maligned and kept out of the league.
Yeah.
But Connie Hawkins, by far, was a real role model for me.
Your opinion in our final minutes here of Charles Barkley?
A great player, really has some good words to say. And Charles Barkley, I didn't really know him, but my dad did. He had a back issue.
Yeah.
But Charles Barkley really speaks his mind, and I don't think he's meaning to harm anybody, and I think he has a great sense of humor.
My favorite all-time player, I see him at Safeway every once in a while in Scottsdale, is Tom Chambers. I love Tom Chambers. He's just and he's very approachable now. I mean, you go up to him, talk to him. He's hard to miss. He's 6'10", for God's sake, but he's a nice guy.
Tom Chambers was a friend of my father's as well.
Wow. Well, guys, we've been joined in studio by Dr. Mike Steingart. He is a longtime Valley orthopedic surgeon. Dr. Mike, thank you so much for coming in today. We look forward to talking to you again in the future and learning more.
Well, there's a lot of stories out there.
Thank you to all of our guests today, our regular segments, as well as our show partners that make this possible every week. Guys, next week, we're kicking off football. Vince DeLisio here with the Varsity Sports Show. Thank you so much for listening. We had a lot of fun. We're going to have a great season. We're going to ramp things up. You guys are going to enjoy it, and looking forward to it. We got NYS football. We got Saguaro High School. We got all the high schools we're covering, Canyon View, Horizon, Corona del Sol, you name it, we're covering it, as well as Thursday night game of the week. Vince DeLisio, Varsity Sports Show. Thanks to all of you for listening. Have a great week, everyone. Go Varsity.
Right now, it's
Thank you for listening to the Varsity Sports Show, where our mission is to empower education and enable dreams, creating an unmatched platform to showcase talent both in front of and behind the microphone in radio, television, podcast, and live streaming. The Varsity Sports Show, still your home for youth, high school, college, and you in Arizona and beyond.